Good evening, everyone. Oh, can you hear me? Yeah. Good evening. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Yarmouth Zoning Board of Appeals. Today's date is January 23rd, 2025. We have 5 matters on our agenda tonight. First one is petition 514940, excuse me. Paul, you want to come forward? That is Rosanna Nicolaitis, trustee of the Ponco Realty Trust, dated July 25th, 1995. Property is located at 811 Route 28, South Yarmouth. It's in a B2 zoning district, an HMOD1, and a VC2. The applicant seeks a special permit per 414-3-3 and or 414 subsection 7.7 for A12 use and for relief from the Yarmouth architectural and site design standards. Section 10, to allow the existing primary overhead electrical service to remain to the utility pole on the side, then underground, in order to develop 8 one-bedroom apartments and exceed the parking maximum. We have a building commissioner memo, and we have,
Good evening.
could you identify yourselves, please?
My name is Paul Tardif. I'm an attorney in Yarmouthport. Seated with me is Christina Megason,
Good evening.
Brian Nugation from BSC as well.
Good to see everybody.
Mr. Good to see you in person, by the way, rather than on the screen, so it's a little,
Well,
yeah.
thank you.
As you know, this is a continued matter from October 24th. Just so you recall, the special permit that we're seeking is looking for relief for 3 items, and 3 items only on this project. One is parking is allowed to be 1.5 per unit, so that's maximum, by the way. That'd be a total of 12. We are offering 16 because we anticipate that probably some of these people will have 2 cars, even for 1-bedroom units. So we're looking for relief from that. As you indicated, the overhead electric lines come onto the property to a pole, and then what we're proposing is to bring that down underground at that point to service the property. And then the third is for relief from buffers on the westerly side of the property over here, where we have a shared driveway and easements in place, and there'll be a gap in here so that the owner of this property can park and also access an existing garage down here. So those were the 3 things that we were looking for. We also had, at the last meeting, some questions about whether or not the relief that we were seeking was the appropriate relief, whether it should have been a variance or special permit. The first thing we did is we met with Mark Grills and also with Kathy Williams, and we talked that out, went through the bylaw in detail. Mark, again, Mr. Grills agreed that, yeah, this was indeed a special permit. We had the appropriate relief for the 3 things that we're seeking. He has submitted a memo, and so at least we got some traction on that. That was good. At the last meeting, I didn't feel that the parking request was going to be a major ask for this board. I think parking, we always try to have enough parking. Maybe a few guests come over to visit. There's a place for them to go. So I think that the 16 parking spaces is not a big ask. The overhead electrical lines, I wanted to address that quickly. If you recall, this property is served by a telephone pole that is about 36 feet away from Route 28 on our property. The wires come from a pole on the north side of Route 28, so that's in front of the Wise Living property. When the wires get to our pole, and we'll call it our pole because it is on our lot, that services our property, and it also serves some of the properties on the abutting property to the east, which is the Captain Gladcliffe. What we had proposed was leave that wire to our pole, go underground from there for our service so that you wouldn't have to see it anymore. I know there was some resistance about that. We did make some inquiries about that and try to find out what it would take to get that power underground completely onto our property. And I know.
Talking about running it under 28.
Correct.
Okay.
So it would be, wouldn't be trenched, obviously, it'd be bored through. I know that we talked to a site contractor, and to relocate the electric and the telecommunication utilities under Route 28, just for the, just trying to get this right, just to install the conduits is $60,000. That does not include, let me just see what it does not include. It doesn't include the actual utilities themselves. It doesn't include the cost of running the underground utilities to the buildings. We're looking at upwards of $100,000 cost if we don't use the pole that's there. We would like to comply. It's just an odd situation that was created back whenever that pole was installed. So we're asking for relief from that. And Mr. Grill's memo does address that and says, yes, that is a special permit request. And then the last issue has to do more with this shared driveway. And I know that there was a lot of confusion about that last time. And so I wanted to clarify that in a couple of ways. First of all, we did revise this plan a little bit to show you a little bit more specifically where that's going to come in. So what we're doing is we're going to have one curb cut instead of an entire curb cut for our lot and a separate curb cut for this property. We're going to share one curb cut between two properties. It will come in here. This is a Cape Cod berm that's going to come down for 90 feet. You'll see these are 3 parking spaces that are going to be utilized by the neighbor to the west for housing in this property. There's also this driveway that's going to come down. There's a garage in the back here, and that's just for storage of cars and things like that. We need to do the shared driveway because we need the 24-foot wide travel lanes for both properties here. I know that there was some talk about greening this up. There's already vegetation here that we will leave, and I'm not going to speak for the owner of that property. Marie Karen is here. I know she wants to at least address you. I'm not going to speak for her, but my understanding is that the trees that are here will remain. We'll be responsible for greening up this common boundary over here with trees or shrubs or arborvitaes or whatever you want. And then on this side of these parking spaces up to the curve, I know that we want to put some sort of shrubbery there. We can't go too high near the road because we want to have visibility, but we would do that as well. And so the only break would be right here, and obviously this is a travel lane, so we really couldn't green that up as well. So those are the 3 things that we are looking for. We hope that clarifies a little bit. I would ask if Marie Karen wants, if you'd allow it, if she can come and address the board. Is that possible?
Sure. Yeah. Come up and talk to us, Marie? Do we have a microphone over there, Marie? No. Well, we got to get you one.
Can I move this? Is this?
Give it
Oh, he's coming fast.
This IT guy.
He's really fast, huh?
That's good.
He's good. He's ready.
Battery's dead.
Thank you. My name's Marie Karen. I own 807, which is the property that abuts Christina's. As he said, it is a easement that comes into the property. There were some questions that I'd like to address from the previous meeting. I wasn't here, but however, one of the comments that was brought up was, well, what if you come in and you're going to drive through and make it a drive-through to the other property? Okay, I just want to show you there's no possible way. I put up a fence. It's a walking path only. And I put that up purposely so, and my septic goes right in the middle here, so nobody could drive over in the back anyway. But I just want to show you that there.
Okay. Thank you.
Second address is what he was just talking about. When you come to the end of the easement ends, and then it's all woods here. I will leave mine on my side. She has to take some off on the other side in order to put the driveway where the driveway has to go to the end for the tenants to come in. So what's there, but we will be 20 feet short going up to where the easement ends. But I told her she can put that, we'll work it, we've worked everything together at this point. We'll do the trees together, we'll come up to the end of the easement, and so it has all the greens going down the side. I know she has no place to put her plantings and stuff because of the easement going in, and one of the things that was brought up was, well, put it on my property. So I kind of took the picture of the corner where he was just showing you on that plan there. The end of the driveway comes up and it curves over as you go in. I will put those plantings, so we'll have up to a 3-foot high green. I'll make it kind of like arched around to go with the driveway up at the end.
So that'll act as somewhat of a buffer between the two properties?
So that would give her buffer. We'll put it there. So another issue was brought up about the garage. I can guarantee you there'll be no tow trucks in the garage. There'll be no toting cars inside the garage. It is for the antique cars only, storage antique cars only. There's not going to be any work done over there. I do have an employee that's moving in there that works. He will take his tow truck. He'll park it behind the building, so you won't see it there. We're not running the business out of the property. We started long.
That was one of our concerns, that that would be used more or less as, in addition to Silver Cloud, there would.
It's not going to be. I mean, I can't guarantee you 100% come summertime when we're as busy as we are that I won't have enough, like 2 weeks ago, we had our rotator, which never comes out of the garage across the street, but we couldn't get down the road because of the work they're doing. That sat on the property. That never is over there, nor would it be over there. If come summertime, we're busy and my compound's full and all the garages are full of towings because there's an awful lot of people coming down for the summer and we bring in a lot of cars, we may put a truck over there, but I guarantee you there'll be no toting cars, no tow truck work over there, no repairs over there, there'll be none of that there. Let's see, what was some of the other questions? A comment that was made that I just would like to address. When we're coming in there, my drivers are experienced drivers, okay? So for a comment to be made about, well, you know what if there was a 3-year-old child and they got hit by a car, by one of our big machineries, okay? We tow in people that are elderly, new drivers that drive through buildings. We tow in cars for other reasons on small little cars. My drivers are experienced. We've never hit anybody yet. And hopefully we never do. But
We share that.
as far as the comments about coming down 28 and us backing out onto 28, okay? We don't back out onto 28. When we were already called on this, 28's a state highway. The only truck that has to back out on 28 with 2 people stopping traffic is the rotator if we bring it over to fuel it up. Just note the wheelbase is too long. We cannot turn and make that turn coming from the property, which I did open on 797 to 803. I opened the fence so my trucks come in, they U-turn out. They don't back in, back out. The big truck will back out. The trailers will back out. There's just some places that we can't. We had such a heavy restriction put on 796 that I can't put the trucks out there because we have somebody at the end of the road that even when she sees the tow truck sitting there, now we're a 24-hour business. I'm not saying we work all 24 hours, but we work up until midnight. The truck will be out there. Mark gets a picture all the time. Oh, there's a tow truck out front. There's a tow truck out front. We try to really comply with what was put on for restrictions there. I try to keep all my properties up nice. People comment all the time, it doesn't look like a tow yard. When Christina came to me and said, I have not enough room to do what I have to do. There's been a lot of going back and forth. I gave her some of the property out back, took off some of the easement up front, just to make her driveway fit for what she has to have. So we've had a lot of give and take here on both of us. I have no problem working with her. I'll do all the plantings with her, do whatever she needs. We're gonna share the pavement of the driveway. I think it's a great project that she's going to do. It's really going to look good over there, and I'm comfortable with 8 units being over there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. Anybody have any questions for Marie before she steps away? Anyone? No?
Mr. Chairman, do you need the photos that Ms. Karen presented?
Could we have those photographs for the record? Could you just hand them up here? We'll stamp them as exhibits.
Is this a new plot plan that we could get a copy of too, or is that?
We can get this was just put together today, so it's the same plan that you had with the building.
Yes.
The only thing is we've developed these 3 parking spaces here and that driveway.
Okay.
That's just to show you, and also there's a distance from the road
So
to the parking spaces is 90 feet. We just wanted to show that.
get that to Dolores.
We can, yep.
We're going to mark these as exhibits 1, 2, and 3.
4 is coming. 4 is coming.
Oh, that right there?
Yeah,
You mean that chart right there?
yeah,
That will be exhibit.
guess so. In a paper version.
Okay.
And just to close, I mean, I don't think there's anyone up there that says this is a bad project. This is a good project. This is much needed by the town. This, 1-bedroom housing for young families. I think we all know we need them. We've had how many people come before you looking for housing, and, hotels looking for housing, every type of housing. This is a perfect opportunity. And I think the ask is quite small. This is a little bit more ambitious, I understand that, and it's probably a little novel. But again, the VCOD does contemplate a lot of shared driveways, shared paths, shared walkways, curb cuts. I mean, we're getting rid of a bunch of curb cuts here and making one. I think that's 1 less or 2 less off of Route 28 is a good project. So I think we meet the criteria for the special permit. We hope you see it that way as well.
Okay. We're going to go to the board for some questions. Barbara, do you have any questions for the petition?
No, I think I'm just really concerned about housing with children there, and sharing a driveway with trucks coming in and out. I'm just bothered by that.
Well, the trucks, I think Marie just said, the trucks aren't going to be coming in and out of here as part of this operation, which is over here. There's a fence that is blocking this off now. And so we have residents in this building that's being transformed into residents, and this is a garage. There's no other way to get through. And so,
They're 1-bedrooms too, so I'm not sure if people with children will be
yeah,
renting it out.
it's a lot less likely there's going to be children. But even if there are, again, I think that, that the cooperation between the parties will work that out. It's really not a speedway, that's for sure. You don't have a long way to go.
Also, each one of these units is gonna have like a small backyard too, so if there was a child or a dog or, there is gonna be a small backyard for each unit that, they can have a table out there, make it homey, have a little table back there or whatever, so, to keep them obviously not on the side where everyone's parking.
Yeah. All right, well, that's my concern, so.
Okay. John?
The first question is, do you know how to fold this thing back up?
There's an art to it. Don't worry about it, just throw it on the floor. We'll get that later.
I don't have any other questions. I'm satisfied with your 3 requests. I think they're reasonable, and seems like a solid project.
Thank you.
Jay?
Can you just describe a little bit more on what the plantings are going to be along the west side and how far on the map?
Sure. So you can already see there's some vegetation here, and one of the pictures actually has some of the trees in the back of that property that are going to stay there.
That
You
one
can-
right there, that's that back corner that he had his finger
So the back corner is not going to change.
That's not a
It's
problem.
more the front, I'm more.
Over here?
From this road.
There's another picture there, but, it's basically some shrubs that will be coming from the corner here. I don't know if there's any walkways here, but they'll be coming around the corner, and she wants to continue it all the way in the front on this property, so.
So I can see the front being the 3-foot ones, but is it going to be 3 foot all the way to those parking spaces? Is that the idea?
Yeah, I think they're either three-way, I don't know if it'll be one
Yeah, just the
solid,
corner.
just the
Marie
corner
said
up here.
Just the corner, so people can see.
We could put whatever,
We want to try to get as much separation between them as possible,
Hmm.
so I don't know if it can go all the, it would be nice if it could go all the way, at least to those parking spaces.
that all the way down?
Yeah, sure.
entry door going in on the
You do?
They're going to enter in the side of the house.
Okay.
Could we
so
have a
you-
break there, Marie? Break in the, so people can get in,
Is that, so people will be entering that side of the house to get in, is that what you're saying?
right there, yeah.
So it gets really tight to have the walkway and everything else.
But I mean, we could leave that for a walkway, but then, I think we could green up the rest, correct? Bring that shrub all the way down?
The
door's going to be right in the center of the side entrance of the building.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I can see that.
How far is the doorway to the actual driveway?
The driveway's in the back, right?
No, I think you mean from
I mean, the
here,
driveway that
That
runs
driveway.
along the
Okay.
common driveway.
probably about halfway, is about 45 feet, 40 feet?
But I mean,
Between
when you
the two.
walk out the door, how close are you? Right on the driveway, or
Oh, you mean
when you come out that side door?
right.
She said 20 feet, she thinks.
20?
Can't we put some greenery along that edge there of that driveway running here?
Right here?
Yeah, from there back towards,
There, we could maybe have a break for the door,
Yeah, I don't,
break in the, and then continue it again?
hey, I see the house there, it is right
I
there.
don't think you have 20 feet, but
Yeah, I don't think that's- I mean-
there's no numbers on that.
Well, I think what we're trying to do is we're just trying to delineate between the two properties there, although I do recognize that that property is actually residential as well.
Right.
So that's not, and it's represented that the garage in the back is acting as a garage. It's not part of the Silver Cloud operation.
Understood.
Right.
Yeah, the fact that it's not going to be
Yeah.
continuously used with truck, it's a huge difference.
Yeah.
That was a major issue I think we we're all
Sure.
concerned about with just the residents that were going to be in the new apartments. But I just wanted to see if there's a way to separate the two with some kind of greenery to make it as apparent as possible that they are separate. That's what I was kind of looking at.
We can put as much as we can.
That's all I can ask, I guess. But so that was one question I had. And I think the other one was to the west of the adjoining property. That's where Marie's main business is that correct?
That's
Not
correct.
across the street, it's to that,
Well,
No, they own
there is,
across
the street too.
there is another one across, but
Okay.
here is, yeah.
So you have both sides?
Yeah.
Okay. But the main business is all operated out of the one on
Over
the
here.
other side of that fence?
Correct.
All right, I'm okay with that, too. I still have a problem with the pole. I know it's expensive, but we've been trying to get rid of those when possible, so, but I'll wait to hear what the rest of the board talks about in that regard.
Okay.
Dick?
I'm not thrilled about the poll either, but based on the costs and so forth, I guess it's something I could live with. I appreciate the fact that we've gone down to 8 units now. I appreciate the fact that the easterly boundary and southerly boundaries are good size and properly planted. I do believe there's the need for the housing, especially workforce housing, which is this most likely to be. And so I think that's all good. I know it's a VCD district, and we're trying to promote redevelopment here, and this is not a bad use of it. I do still have some issues with, while I, in one sense, like the idea of common driveways, the couple other common driveways that I'm aware of in West Yarmouth, both have what would normally be required as the 10-foot buffer inside of the driveways in each case. So in this case, that would be on this property and then on Marie's property. But instead of getting two 10-foot side buffers, we're getting 0. Now, granted, you're going to make some attempts at minimizing that with some of the stuff kept in the back and maybe stuff around the front. I'm only going to be comfortable if trees are planted, I guess, on Marie's property, wherever they can be, and those be maintained in the future as a so-called side buffer. And so that was my concern. I mean, otherwise, I think it's fine. It's a good proposal. But here we are trying to get too much building on a too small a lot, as usual. Not that you're the first ones to do that.
Well, this problem in single-family housing is really difficult to attack anything.
Oh, we only got a half acre here, and it's, it's like, I can't open this huge plan in front of me. The front was going to be all buffered properly with trees and stuff too, right?
Up here?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, we can, right? We
Yeah,
have to.
and in between the parking spaces, we have to do
Have some
trees,
spaces
because we have to
there,
have
I know,
the
some
the
trees, yeah.
shade.
You do have a
30-foot shade.
I think
So
you
there'll
have
be
a-
trees in between the parking spots.
We have a
too.
landscape plan.
I think you do because we included the canopy coverage, which is one of the requirements.
I think it's the last page.
Yeah, I think there's one in here somewhere.
Here it is.
Oh, there you go.
We've got a bunch of trees here.
I know you have a bunch of trees in the back. This is just.
Well, we've got it.
I get it.
Oh, we got it.
So, yeah, do you have it, Dick?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's pretty heavy trees in the back, right?
Big?
Are those going to be maintained? Because this isn't showing them. This isn't showing any maintenance of the
This is the back,
existing
yeah.
trees in that area, just some replantings and three big
There's
trees.
some big trees back here.
It's on the, yeah.
Oh, it's coming there.
Oh, I do see the number saying something about will be retained, right?
These right here.
The landscaping planting plan? The planting plan, right? Planting plan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can see the back of our lot, the three big trees right there.
Yeah, well, those are being planted, the three big trees. What happens with all the existing trees?
They're shown on the site preparation plan, all the trees that we're saving.
That was saved.
They're forming our 41489, the BCOD landscape requirements. We're using, in part, existing vegetation to comprise that.
And that's fine. That's what I'd like to see, because if you take a mature oak tree that's large and healthy and replace it with a small tree that's going to die, it doesn't do much for me.
It got a little crowded on our planting plan, so that's why I decided to show the trees that we're saving on the site preparation plan.
Okay. That's all I have.
All right, so anything else you'd like to add, Paul?
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Is there anyone in our audience who wishes to speak in favor of this petition? If so, please come to the microphone. Seeing none. If there's anybody who wishes to speak in opposition to this petition, please come to the microphone. Seeing none. Okay, we're going to close it to the public and have some board discussion about this. So we've got three forms of relief, Paul?
Well, I think it's technically one special permit for 3 items.
3 items?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Let's,
I can tell they're all special permit.
all right, so you're looking for relief for the overhead electrical service,
Correct.
develop 8 one-bedroom apartments,
Parking?
and the parking, now you're asking, it says exceed the parking maximum?
We have too many.
You have too many spaces.
Yeah, 1.5 is the max in this zone, which would be 12, and we're offering 16.
I'm fine with that.
I say that, I've been on this board for a long time, but I learn something new every day. I didn't realize you could exceed the maximum. So we won't let you have more than that?
No,
With your permission, we'd like to
Oh,
have
okay,
the
all
extra
right.
4, please, yeah.
it says in here.
Why? Okay. I missed that one. All right, okay. So we got the parking, we got the overhead, and we've got the 10-foot buffer.
Correct.
Those are the three. All right. Is anybody prepared to begin a discussion or make a motion?
I think, I mean, I support it. The one thing that's bothering me the most is the pole. But I understand it's a very expensive option to get rid of, so. I mean, I don't know what the delta is. I'm sure there's a cost of running service anyway, but sounds like the delta's at least like $60,000 or so. But I do think there might be a couple of conditions that we need to put in. So I think it'd be worth talking about what those would be. Certainly, I think one of them is the greenery that we expect along that separation and what would be there. But
Could you provide us with some type of a plan that lays that out a little bit in more detail when you get a chance coming around that corner between Marie's property and the petitioner's property, just so
Yes,
we have it for our record?
sure.
And the greenery will be on the Karen property, yeah.
On what, I'm sorry?
The greenery will be on the Karen property.
It will,
yeah.
I think it has to be, yeah.
And we could have a condition also that the garage will not be used for, how can we?
I don't know, you can't condition,
yeah, somebody
we only own this, and this,
No, I understand that, I just,
Yeah.
let's just say that we want to have some type of an understanding that it's not going to be used for towing purposes, running.
could we just say that the representation was made that it's for storage of antique automobiles, and that trucks are not going to be permanently stored in that garage?
I think the concern
trucks,
we
I mean.
have is the commercial operation going in and out of there. That was really our concern. I know the property, I know them both. Personally, I don't think that there's gonna be a lot of activity with that particular piece of property. They operate next door, that's where they generally out of. I think this is more in line with storage. And if they wanna keep antique cars, yeah, I mean, if one of the employees pulls in and he's got a truck that he drives for work or something, if it's somebody just coming in and out, that, I won't speak for everybody, but I don't really have a problem with that. It's if all of a sudden you've got an accident down the street and you're hauling wrecked cars in through there and storing them out there. So we'll say there'll be no storage of towed cars there. Could we do that? That agreeable?
Okay with, yeah.
Or permanent machinery. Is that?
Well, they own machinery. I don't wanna, but
It's the permanent basis is what I'm getting at, I think.
yeah.
I don't know if we can do that on another property. But, I don't know.
Well, we certainly want to, they certainly have the right to access and use their property. We just wanted, we're just looking for a balance here, so that the residents coexist with whatever activity, and primarily it's residential next door, because she's turning that into housing.
Yeah, which is
So
a good.
It's gonna be people living over there, and so there'll be cars that come in and out of there.
Yeah.
Just as there will be with the cars that come in and out of the petitioner's driveways.
Any of the lots.
Yeah, so we understand that, we're just, and we wanna keep Marie's record of not, no accidents with anybody. So how would we,
You have a suggestion?
Well, I guess, that's why I was saying, we could say that there was a representation made by the abutter that it will be used for residential purposes and a garage for storage of antique cars, and that they're not gonna be dropping off. There won't be any commercial activity going on the site. I don't know what else you can't go much further because
Well, we can't.
how do you enforce it?
A violation of that would potentially trigger a violation of the petitioner's special permit.
Except that, how can we control what occurs over there when,
Well, it's really, what it will require, and given Marie's reputation with this board and with the town, I'm confident that this will happen, is that she's the one who has to do this in good faith and not cause her to violate the special permit. I
mean-
think that's gonna work.
and we could also, I mean, I could add that, any change in that use over here, that we'll have to come back, I guess. I mean, we'll have to come back.
Or
If Mark
sale,
reads
or
the-
sale thereof.
Yeah, I mean, any change of use from that, I don't know how much further we can go. I understand that it's going in this decision. The only problem is, it may not always be her and it may not always be her.
Right.
It almost,
And then,
I know it's not presented as that, but given the fact that she has an interest in this, should we hear this as a joint petition? Should she need to seek relief? Does she need to seek relief for that house? I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know anything about it.
We might be seeing that in front of us in the future anyway. So which, quite frankly, would really just be the same as what we have here. So if she needed relief
Similar.
she may, I don't know.
Might.
Can I say something? I did talk to Mark, and when I went to him and said, what can go here, and when it was gonna be converted to the house and the garage, it was permit only, is
Right.
how he gave it to me.
Yeah,
So
it's-
there was
it's-
no
It's a non,
go to the board to change.
Okay, all right.
it's a non-conforming lot, so I would imagine, I don't know, if they're changing the building, they're not
Well,
changing the building.
That would be a determination by the building commissioner, after he looked at it.
Well, I can tell you that if there was going to be a commercial activity on this property, I think the parking would have to increase from the 3 that you're seeing here. I don't know. There'd be something there. I don't know.
I think that would probably trigger some things, yeah.
Yeah.
But at any rate,
I will include it.
why don't we, because you're gonna do a draft decision, I think, at least from my perspective, I'd like to see the language that the representation was made, that it's going to be used to store, primarily used to store antique cars, that there will be residential activity in the building in the future. And that's the intention of the next-door neighbor, being Marie. Okay?
I could say that was represented at the hearing.
You could say that? Okay. And then if we talked about the landscape plan. Is everybody comfortable with that?
Yeah. Sounds good.
Dick, you comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Okay. And in terms of the underground utility, I mean, I agree. I think it's cost prohibitive here, and I think it's a unique situation where it's tied in with the Captain Gladcliffe too. And while I understand what the purpose and intent of the bylaw is, I mean, that's why we sit here, to allow certain deviations that are reasonable and that don't run contrary to what the purpose and intent of the bylaw is. And I think that the town voters, when they voted this in, they probably didn't foresee that, but I think if they were aware of something like that, they would agree that this is a reasonable request as well.
If the pole was at the road, we'd bring it underground right from there, no problem. And it wouldn't be our pole, right? It would be in the roadway. Comes across, so that's the hard part.
Right,
Yeah,
okay,
it's unique.
okay. And then I think
And that's just a deviation from the design review, is that why it's a special permit?
yes.
Correct.
It's in,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the design review comments,
Right.
page 3, yeah.
All right. right, well, I'd be, okay, you want to go? You have more? I'd be willing to make a motion.
Okay, so your motion is to approve the.
Special permit.
As requested.
As requested for parking, electrical pole, and the easement,
So
and
to
the
allow-
setback.
Allow beyond the maximum amount for parking.
Correct.
Exceed the parking demand.
Up to 16.
16.
Up to 16 spaces.
Right.
When how many are allowed by, how many?
12.
12. So, okay, so we're going to allow you to exceed it by 4. We will allow the overhead electrical to your pole, but then it's going to run underground from there, down and then underground. Okay. And what's the third one I'm missing here?
It's the
Buffer.
The buffer, the 10-foot buffer.
yeah.
And then you'll supply us with a updated landscape plan relative to Marie's side, so we have that for our,
Yep.
all right.
So
And,
moved.
how soon is this gonna start, this project?
Tomorrow.
Well, we can't for a little bit, but
When you get the building
we also get.
20 days? Is it
Are all
20
those
days?
trucks still on the
21
property?
days.
Oh, yeah, we have to get, the
building permit.
state has all their trucks on the property. They just like parked them there. So I have to find,
I have just a solution for you. I would call Silver Cloud and have them all towed out.
Works.
Well, just a suggestion, I don't
In
know.
the family, I like
they
it.
have to be on the property though. That's-
All right. Okay, is everybody all set on that language?
Yeah. And that the buffer plantings and landscaping be added to the seller's property, whatever, on the west, wherever feasible.
Yes, and they're gonna submit a plan later on to show us that one deck. And then finally, I think 1 year after your certificate of occupancy, we should have a review of this for compliance. Okay? Yep. Everybody agree with that?
Come back after a year.
Okay, so we have those conditions. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
We need a second.
Oh, excuse me. We have a second to the motion?
Second.
Second. Motion made by Jay, seconded by John. Hearing no further discussion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. That carries unanimously.
One other house cleaning. I did request relief for multifamily in the petition, but it's not needed, so if we could just withdraw that without prejudice.
Okay,
It
so,
was just, yeah.
all right, so this motion carries unanimously. Request to withdraw any further relief requested.
So moved.
All those in, second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll look forward to a draft decision. And thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Marie, for participating. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Good luck.
much.
Thank you.
I was gonna read this memorandum in, but it was just so jumbo, no one would have understood it anyway. Instead of reading it,
It's in the file.
it's in the file. Okay, all right. Let me get my,
John, let me see if I can fold up the,
yeah. Okay. All right, the next matter on our agenda is petition 5155, Brendan and Rebecca Donovan. Property location is 18 to 20 Wood Road, 18 and 20 Wood Road, South Yarmouth. The property is in an RS40 zoning district, and the applicant seeks a variance from section 203.5 to create 2 non-conforming lots.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi,
How
good
are you
evening.
tonight? Tell us a little bit about what you want to do here.
So,
Everything you want to do here.
so we purchased this property last month, and with the understanding that it was currently zoned as a condominium with my neighbor, Mr. Pereira, right here. And we would just like to have that rezoned into a single-family home.
You want to create two separate lots,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Correct, yep.
Okay, so I
They're looking for two.
actually sat on this petition back in 18. And so what you did is you took a parcel that had two legally pre-existing non-conforming structures on it. And you created excuse me, maybe he did. Created a condominium form of ownership for the entire piece of property.
Yes.
Now what you want to do is you want to subdivide that property and create two houses on two lots. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
And remove the condominium, I guess, is that what would happen?
Well, the condominium form of ownership would go away. You
Yeah,
have
which
two
is what-
separate deeds.
Yeah.
Well, and you're seeking a variance for that. Could you tell us how you meet the criteria for a variance?
I'm not really sure I understand. This is all kind of new to me, so,
Well, let me kind of move things along here.
yeah.
I don't think we can do this. In order to create lots, you need to create a subdivision. You need to take it before the planning board and get it endorsed. In order for you to do that in the town, you'd need a minimum of 40,000 square feet. You have, what, 13,000 or?
Just under 14,000
Minimum lot size is 40,000. So.
for a single-family home.
Well, to create a lot. Yeah, what you're trying to do here is you're trying to create two lots. You know, the single-family homes are one thing. What you're trying to do here, though, is create two lots. And in order for you to do that, you need at least 40,000 square feet on each piece of property. You only have, if I'm not mistaken, I'll open it, but 13
Yes, just 13,857.
on each piece of property?
Let's see, yeah, 13 on 857 on mine and 13,558 on Marcos property.
Yeah. Well, over the years, the town has increased the lot size requirements. They did that for a number of reasons: density, protect the water supply. And so when they did that, we would be acting in contrary to what the purpose and intent of the bylaw is if we allowed that. If you tried to go before the planning board, they would not endorse your plan, okay? You are here asking for the right relief, which is a variance, and I'll let others, I'm only one of 5, you need 4 votes, but I would not be able to support it because I just don't see that you meet the criteria for a variance. I
Okay,
understand what you want to do.
yeah,
I mean, you can continue as condominium form of ownership. You can still buy and sell your condo separately.
yeah,
You just can't create two lots.
okay.
And I think, other than having two separate pieces of property, you have the ability to do what you want. I mean, subject to a homeowners association that you, do you both each own one? Is that what it is?
Yes, correct.
Yeah,
You own one condo, you own the other?
no, we own
Oh, you own a
one
condo.
home.
He owns the other.
Mr. Pereira owns.
You own the
owns
other one. I see, okay,
Yeah,
Before the both houses mine.
okay.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
sold one for Mr. Brandon Biamistro.
yeah, Mr. Namisto,
Years ago.
who we bought the house from.
Yeah.
Okay.
We bought it from him.
Yeah.
Nice piece the land. I don't know.
No, I know. I mean, many years ago, we used to have 10,000 square foot requirements. If that was the case, you could probably just go before the planning board, I think, and get it endorsed and have a new subdivision.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess our main concern is that we believe it'd be a hardship for us because we would have to pay into the master insurance of the condominium for both of our properties on top of the homeowner's insurance that we'd already be paying.
Well, that's an issue when you buy into a condominium, unfortunately. Yeah. Does anybody,
Chairman, yeah, I have a question.
go ahead.
Do you know when the two buildings were built?
1971?
Yes, ours was
Yeah.
built in 1971. I think his is somewhere in the 60s. Like it was a few years older.
So they came under zoning at that point. If they were early enough, there is some kind of state statute that allows you to put two non-conforming structures on their own land, even if it doesn't meet land area. But apparently, they're not old enough for that.
Does anybody have an opinion other than my opinion? Anybody contrary?
I would concur with your opinion.
I'd agree.
Well, it doesn't appear that you have enough support to get approval of this. We could take a vote.
So, I mean, how do we proceed from here? Just,
Well, if you want to preserve your rights on appeal, we could take a vote and deny you, and you could appeal it to the Superior Court or to the Land Court.
okay,
Or you could request that you be allowed to withdraw your petition without prejudice. We take no action, and then you could step it back and think about what you want to do.
okay. I mean, I don't know the best course of action from this point.
Maybe withdraw.
If we withdraw, we can obviously come back and,
You can come back again if you wish. You may want to discuss this with legal counsel,
okay,
or we can take a vote, but that would start the clock on your appeals.
yeah. Well, we'll go ahead and withdraw and then
Okay. All right.
come back.
So we have a request by the petitioner to withdraw their request for variance without prejudice. Is anybody prepared to make a motion
And make a motion to withdraw.
without prejudice?
Without prejudice.
We have a second to the motion?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. That's unanimous. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. The next matter on our petition is petition 5156, Darlene A. Missios. Correct. And Marius Missios. Property's located at 116 North Street, South Yarmouth. It's in an R40 zoning district. The applicant seeks a special permit per 104.3.5 and section 203.5 and/or a variance from section 203.5 for side setback relief to swap portions of the property with the abutter at 118 North Main Street. The applicant requests a waiver from the requirement for a certified site/plot plan less than 2 years old. Good evening, Attorney Tardif.
Good evening. Mr. Chairman, it might be best if we heard the next petition at the same time, because this is a land swap case, and so I filed petitions for both lots, and it's basically the same matter. I don't know if you want me to address it, if you want to read the notice in.
Was just going to bring that up to you because basically it's the same thing.
It is.
So has everybody looked at this and understand what's going on here?
Yeah, I thought they belonged together.
Lot 8's going to get Lot 8A, Lot 9's going to get Lot 9A,
Yeah,
or
so
9B. How did you put them up, 9A?
Parts of.
8B will go with
B
9A.
and 9B.
Swap 370 square feet.
We are.
Why don't we just, we're going to hear them together and we'll issue rulings on each of them at the same time.
Sure. These properties, North Main Street, just to orient yourself here, in the R40 zoning district, 116 North Main Street is improved with a single-family house right here. And that was built in about 1949. The property at 118 North Main Street over here has actually two dwellings on it, built in about 1960. This proposal came about as a result of discovering that the house on 116 over here is actually built partially onto 118. And it's been there since 1949, apparently. The intentions for the NA&R plan to be filed. The area around the house that actually encroaches is 370 square feet, so that's what we have, a corresponding lot here. How this all came to be, I don't know, except that this gives us a little something, form a lot line here, and then a hard lot line here, so maybe there was some shifting. How that all happened, I don't know. And the reason I'm asking for relief from the 2-year rule is that this plan is dated
14.
2014. I can tell you that in 2015, I brought this petition, these two petitions, and filed them, and before we got to hearing, I was asked to withdraw them. So, same two people, same neighbors, 10 years later. So here we are. So, we'll update this, obviously, but it's going to get to the planning board for an A&R, and then we'll do deed swaps. And under 10435, I think it actually works. I think we've done these swaps now and then in town. I know one on Janner Road was one of the ones I did, and but basically we're not creating any new building lots. It's just to swap area so that we maintain our grandfathering with a special permit and go on our way. So that's pretty much
Or
what
are
we're
you
asking.
creating any new nonconformities?
We're not creating any new nonconformity. We're actually solving one, where you have to build a house on your own lot. That helps, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's key. But that does happen. It's, I won't say it doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. I've seen a number of occasions where, and I can think of a couple that have happened here. I remember we had one over on Long Pond Drive. I don't know if you were involved with that one.
I don't remember that one. I remember an entire line in West Yarmouth, a whole line of houses. I think it was 5 or 6 houses.
Lake Road East.
Yeah, everything shifted, and everything was off, because we don't know what happened with the plan, or if it was a survey, or what it was, but it was bad.
And that can cause trouble, too. 'cause
Oh, yeah.
if they want to buy something and finance it, then there's a cloud on the title, and then the
Absolutely.
banks don't want to finance them. So this way, we could clean it all up. Okay.
Yep.
I'm okay with the less than 2 years old. Is everybody else okay that it be updated later on?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, all right. Okay. Anything else you'd like to say?
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does anybody, Dick, you have any questions for Attorney Tyler?
No questions. It makes plenty of logical sense to do just what he's doing.
Okay. Jay?
That makes sense, but I did have a couple questions. Though it says the former lot line, I think it's the south side, down this way. Yeah, that was a former lot line, and now or are you changing that?
No, the dark line is the current line.
Okay.
The former line may have been from an old deed or an old
Okay.
plan,
Right.
but for whatever reason, this call,
So that's not changing at all?
that's not changing at all.
Okay,
Just here and here.
those two. And that's on both of them?
Yep, we'll do cross deeds and clear that, yep.
So it's basically 116 and 118 are swapping, and that's it?
That's it.
Okay, I'm good.
John?
Any questions?
Bob?
No question.
And I don't have any questions. I think it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so is there anyone in the audience that's here on this petition that wishes to speak in favor? Anyone here that wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none. Okay. So what I think we ought to do here is we will proceed with, we're going to take this one and the next one, they're the same. So we will, so petition 5156, I need a motion to approve the special permit without conditions.
So made.
Have a second? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Petition number 5157, same set of facts as represented. I need a motion to grant a special permit without conditions.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That carries unanimously.
Gotta get rid of the variances.
You asked for variance relief on each of them. Are you requesting to withdraw your request for variance on petition 5156?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I didn't even realize I'd asked for it. I'm sorry.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Have a second?
Yeah. Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor to allow the request to withdraw the petition for variance without prejudice?
Aye.
Signify by saying aye. Aye. That carries unanimously. Petition number 5157, are you asking us to allow you to withdraw the request for variance
Yes, please.
without prejudice?
Correct.
We have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. That motion's allowed.
We're good.
Thank you.
We'll look forward to a draft decision.
Get that to you.
I don't have to tell you the 20-day appeal period. You know, you're quite
Feel
well
free to.
versed in that.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Appreciate it.
Attorney Tardif. Okay, let's see. Our next petition is petition number 5158. Judith Sokolowski, property location at 147 Route 6A, Yarmouthport, Mass. It's in a B1 zoning district. The applicant seeks to modify decision 1305 dated June 30th, 1975, and/or a special permit per 104.3.2, and/or a variance from 203.5 for side setback relief to construct a single-family dwelling on the property. Good evening.
Good evening.
Would you identify yourself for the record, please, sir?
Yes, for the record, my name is Andrew Singer, attorney in Dennisport, here on behalf of Judith Sokolowski. With me in the first row is Gary Barber, who is the project designer. Appreciate your time this evening. As I was looking at some of the materials, this property was before you for a completely different type of proposal 2-3 years ago, and actually 3 of you on the board were there that night, or for that process. I saw your names there. So this, for you, as well as the other 2 members of the board, this is a proposal to build a single-family house on a vacant piece of land right in the village center. And it's very unique, has a very unique history. And I did give you a summary of reasoning, and I just want to go over that, both for you and for the for the record as a testimony. The lot itself contains 14,435 square feet of area and 55 feet of frontage. As small as that is, it's actually bigger than its neighbors. The representatives of the owner, so I'm representing a prospective buyer of the land. And so myself and at separate times, the representatives of the owner, we've met with the building commissioner to discuss the property and to decide, to ask him what relief was needed. As you read in the legal ad, in January 1975, your predecessors, as the Board of Appeals, granted relief it was a variance relief, petition 1305, to construct a 2-story mixed-use structure on this land with a shop on the first floor, residence on the second floor, and then there was going to be a little connector piece, and then there was going to be an office space. There were going to be 9 parking spaces, and with that attached office, it was a minimum of 9 parking spaces. It was technically a use variance because the property then had just been rezoned from residential to commercial, but it had inadequate commercial frontage. It was okay as a residential lot, but it wasn't okay as a commercial lot back in '75. So it needed relief that came for, and the board granted it. I did give you copies of the '75 decision and the plan so that you could see, what was what back then, because that's important for why we're here tonight. The buildings obviously weren't constructed at that time, but what's very key here is that the variance was granted in January of 1975. Section 40A of the zoning bylaw was completely rewritten in the middle of 1975 at the state level, and that's when the current 40A that we have, that you work with every day, came into effect. Petitions that were approved before that law became effective in a town didn't contain a lapse provision. They never expired. That was actually one of the changes they made in the 1975 Zoning Act. So, and I referenced a couple court cases and Bobrowski's book on variances, or on zoning, talking about the fact that under old Chapter 40A, variance relief, the one-year lapse provision that we're all used to today, just didn't exist. And they can continue on indefinitely unless there are two things, unless the local bylaw had something different at that time, or there were substantially changed circumstances. In this case, the town of Yarmouth didn't adopt the new zoning bylaw until 1978. So from 1975 to 1978, Yarmouth was still operating under the old bylaw, which again didn't have a lapse provision. And the variance decision that the board granted in 1305 did not itself contain a deadline. It was just we're granting you the relief and this is why. And there have not been a material change of circumstances. Everything is still what was there. And so when we met with the building commissioner, well, I didn't, I'm sorry, when the attorney for the representative did, or for the owner did, Mark wrote a letter on November 2nd, 2022, stating that Decision 1305 is still in effect. Any deviation from the original decision from the four conditions will require a modification to the relief granted or additional relief. So what had happened in 1975, because this was going to be a mixed-use property, the four conditions, and I gave you the old decision as well, it talked about the residence being owner-occupied, the shop being owner-occupied, the office being used for professional purposes only, and other than what was approved, you had to meet all the setback requirements, et cetera. As I discussed, and so I had a call with Mark, and I said, okay, my client, the person who would like to buy it, actually doesn't want to build the approved plan. They can, anybody could, but they don't want to. They actually want to do something smaller, less intense. So, because she only wants to build a smaller house, just a house, only with a residential driveway. She'd get rid of all the big parking lot behind the building. And she'd like to, so again, do less on the site than what's there. And because it's different than what was approved, Mark said, you're going to the board. So here we are this evening with a request for the board. And so he and I were talking, and there were three potential avenues of relief for the board to look at. You could straight up amend Section 1305, Decision 1305. I guess you could grant a new variance. It's the same criteria, no matter which way it's done. Or potentially a special permit for, he also determined this in his letter, that the lot has not merged, so a special permit which has the front and rear setbacks would be fine. It's the side setbacks that don't comply, and you physically can't comply. You can't have, I think it's 25 feet required today, and you obviously can't do that on a 55 square foot lot unless you had a 5-foot house down the middle. And I know micro houses are big, but.
If we were to grant you a special permit, under what section will we grant you the special permit?
I applied under 104.3.2, yeah, it was just 104.3.2. I did, might be, thank you. That's what
I guess, what changed?
I'm thinking, Mr. Chairman, that, I think the variance may be, the more, it was 104.3.2. I think the variance amending the variance, I think actually is the better way to go, maybe, because that's the decision that's currently valid. It's active on the site, and if you're trying to do something different, and I think that's what Mark was saying in sending us here, I think that amending the variance might be the way to go. But he and I discussed the special permit for a lot that was too narrow. And the reason I also asked, so back in 1975, the side setbacks for a house were only 6 feet. So the plan that was approved by the 1975 Board of Appeals was going to have setbacks of 10 feet on the west and 19 feet on the east. What the applicant would like to do is sort of more center the house. It's gotten smaller, and center the house in the lot. So she's proposing setbacks of 16.9 feet on the west and 15 feet on the east. So it's, instead of being smaller and wider, she's proposing more even. So I asked Mark, back then you could have 6-foot setbacks. for a residence? And does that apply? And he said no, because he felt, because the Board of Appeals in 1975 had approved the other plan, there was an approval on the lot, and so it wasn't a situation where you had just a vacant lot coming to you for the first time ever, where you could do the 6 foot. To quote him exactly, he said, "You got one bite at the apple," and he felt that the then owner in 1975 took that bite, and so he said, "Look, now you need relief for those setbacks. Even though you're greater than 6 feet, you're not 25." So I don't. Hopefully that answers your question on that particular aspect of it. Mr. Chairman. So from this variance relief as well as I do, them better than I do, hardship based on the soil condition, shape, or topography of the land or structures, not detrimental to the public good, and not derogating from the intent of the bylaw. And now in this case, the board in 1975 found that there was the hardship, and I just want to cite from that decision, because frankly, it's the same argument I'm making to you today for the hardship part, which is the board said, quote, "The property is unique and it is unlikely that there is another like it in any business zone in the town, but for insufficient frontage, petitioners could have operate a business there, and they can at any time build a single-family residence." Again, then they could, because of the setbacks. The lot to the east has only 33.5 feet of frontage and is a third of the area. The lot to the west has approximately 55 feet of frontage and less area than Locust. It is doubtful if any lot on the south side of Route 6A in the immediate area would meet present frontage requirements, but all these other lots have been built upon. End quote. So it's now jumping back to me, it's my argument to you and position to you that under these circumstances, as the board then found, we do have the unique shape and topographical history of the land that does justify a variance, or a hardship in this case, such that a literal enforcement basically means, as I understand it from talking to the building commissioner, you could build the more intense project, but not what's being proposed. So that is the hardship portion of the request we're making to you. As far as being able to be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and without derogation from the intent and purpose of the bylaw, I would submit that the proposed house will be smaller and less high than approved. It'll be eliminating the 9-car parking lot and having a pervious residential driveway as shown on the new plan that we submitted. Much more of the site is going to remain in its natural wooded condition. There will be the septic in the back, so there'll be some clearing for the leach field, but there'll just be more of the trees can stay on the lot. As I noted before, I think that the centering of the house on the lot is actually better than what was approved before, because it'll have more of a setback to each side, or the buildings on either side. Front and rear setbacks are well conforming. There will be no commercial use on the property, and I think for this particular lot, there is a mix of houses and businesses in the village center. I think here, not having commercial use on this property is actually a good thing. Having just as a house, I think, is better, and as such, those 4 conditions that Mark talked about, or they're in the decision, they're just irrelevant, because they're all commercial related. Building coverage is going to be only 5.2%, 25% is allowed, so well conforming. Site coverage is 15.3%, whereas 70% is allowed. So again, this is going to be much more conforming. And building height, 19.5 feet, is much less than the 35 feet that's allowed. We were before Old Kings Highway a couple weeks ago, and they unanimously approved the proposal, with the one change that on the elevations I gave you, they wanted these 3 windows changed to 2. They just wanted 2 double-hung windows centered on there, and they wanted this change to be a square and lowered.
They want 8 over 8 or something like that.
They wanted 2 4/4s.
4/4.
Yeah, this is 3 4. Instead of 3 4/4s, they wanted 2 4/4s, and to make this round window a square. And then they approved it with that as in their decision. So it's the house itself is the same, as the plans that we submitted to you. Are you looking for?
Yeah, you had for plans there?
Yeah, those, yeah. Yes.
Separate.
11.5, 11 by 17 set.
Way in the back, I think. You can look at this.
How many bedrooms is this?
I cannot
I
believe that.
think it's just 2. Double check.
I couldn't really figure.
This is a one-story house,
What's the staircase for, to go down cellar?
basement, the base, yeah, just, yeah, so it's one,
So we got a bedroom here and a bedroom here.
yep, so it's two, yeah, so it's a two-bedroom house with, two baths.
Oh, I see.
Well, it's one and a half, so it's two-bedroom, 1.5 bath, one-story house with the stairs to the basement. Yeah.
One
And-
bedroom in the back and one in the front, is that what it is?
Correct, yes. So it's gonna be vertical to the street, so you got one in the back, one in the front.
2 bathrooms.
Correct. Well, 1.5. One doesn't have a bath. One thing, couple things I wanted to point out. I know there are some neighbors in the room, and we spoke with some of them at the historic, and I'm sure they'd like to speak tonight. There is a stone wall that runs across the property. Historic wanted to make sure, they wanted to know what was happening with that. So the stone wall, except where the driveway is going to remain, and the rocks that are where the driveway's going are actually going to be preserved, and they're going to make a return. So they're going to use so the rocks are going to stay or fix up, other parts of the wall. So the wall is staying, just be cut where the driveway is, and then you'll have that return. Also, it came up at Historic, there is a large tree out front that has apparently been damaged or suffered some sort of harm. And there was also neighbor to the west. There is a large tree on his property near his garage, and it's leaning apparently, and the root system, and I hope I don't speak, I think that was you. He said the roots are going onto the property. We're here before, and they will be in the area of where the pervious driveway part of it might be. So the representation we made at Historic, and I'm making to you tonight, is that the owner, the buyer, if she buys, is going to work with an arborist to address those two things, both points, which is to look at that tree out front. I don't know what it is, but they did raise that it was damaged, so we're gonna look at that to see what can be done about that. And the American elm on the abutters property, they're gonna look at that to make sure that that tree is not harmed when they're putting in the driveway. And the driveway will be pervious, and made a representation, Mr. Barber will probably be the clerk of the works, and I don't know if you guys have exchanged numbers yet, but I know they talked about it, so that we'd like to meet with, I'm sorry, I can't remember your name. Yes? Mr. David. We meet with Mr. David, to make sure as they go through the process to try to take a look at that. So that is a part of the presentation as well. We believe that this house, again, is a one-story house, which Historic has approved, will be in keeping and compatible with the neighborhood. As far as construction vehicles, we also had this conversation. The owners, so 2 doors over is the Inaho restaurant, and the back of this property actually butts up to the back of the Inaho parking lot. There's no connections there, but it does physically touch. And there was concern expressed by the owners of that property that in the past, people doing work have improperly parked on their lot without permission or without anything. And we made a representation again, and I put it in my summary to you, that all construction vehicles will either be parked on this property and not off-site unless it has prior permission of whomever. So there will not be any improper parking on off-site, particularly the restaurant property. There's going to be no negative impact to town water supply. Don't believe there'll be any noise, litter, or odor. And we believe this will actually, all the utilities will service the site, and believe this will be a nice, compatible, comparable fit into the village center. And with that, if you have questions for either of us, we'd be happy to answer them, and we appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you. Dick, do you have any questions?
No, I have no questions. I don't see any problem in there being a house there instead of a mixed use and so forth. Actually, I wish it was a little bigger house. But I guess it's cute and it fits and it's, I don't see any reason why that shouldn't be allowed.
Okay, Jay?
I agree. I think it fits, and it's a good use in this location because of the limited space and the narrowness. But I guess my question is more, explain to me how we would modify, what would we do exactly to modify the old one as far as wording goes versus give you a new variance or award a
Just
new variance?
eliminate the commercial component, wouldn't we?
Would it just be that?
I think we'd have to do more than that. I think, let me
That's
pull
all
out the
too.
decision. And maybe for that reason, the new variance is better. Maybe, because what we'd have to do is, in effect, we'd be amending it to rewrite it, right? We'd have to say we're withdrawing the old approved plan, substituting this new plan, changing the use from X to Y.
Right.
And and removing those conditions, putting any new ones you might put in that are relevant. And, yeah,
I mean, it'd be nice to have a clean variance in place, but would this one then go away? It supersedes this one, or would that?
We could do that. If we do a new variance, we could actually write the decision to replace the old variance. We could say petition, I forget what number we are.
That's what I'd like to see.
I would think if we're gonna write a new variance, that we should reference that one and
Okay.
Petition X
replace.
replaces 1305 in its entirety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was looking at, I would prefer a new variance. That's what I was getting at mostly. But as far as the proposal, I think it's less uses, less of an impact than the old one was. It's in place. Much rather see this be a residence than a commercial facility with all the packing that is there right now. It's very congested anyway, so, and as far as the setbacks are concerned, I think it's reasonable to have a variance given the shape of the lot. So in my mind, it's a reasonable request.
John, what do you thought?
That was the only question I had. How would we proceed, with the variance or a special permit or whatever? But other than that, I have no problem with the project itself. I mean, the lots up there are just.
This is a small lot, yeah.
They're all crazy. So, that's where I'm at.
Barbara, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I'm fine with it. I live in Yarmouthport. I was always wondering why nothing was on that lot. No, I have no questions.
Okay. Well, it was the subject of a prior petition that was going to be
Business.
a business that was going to go with the building that's next door, the one that's right next to Inaho, and they had a proposal to intensify this property.
Yeah.
That was not well received. I think the biggest concern the board had at the time was how well we thought the business would do with a new general store that would be similar to the one that's in Barnstable Village, and that section of Yarmouthport just couldn't handle that type of traffic. It was a nice proposal. It was intensive on the lot, but I think if you look at what's the highest and best use of this property, I think given its size, its location, you want to limit traffic as best you can there. I think this is the highest and best use. I think it'll look fine there. The property to I guess it would be the west. I don't know if it says Valerie Grant. I don't know if she still owns it, but that may have been.
That's
you own
Mr.
it?
David's property.
Okay. I remember I did speak with a woman when the other petition was before us before. She was a very nice lady. But at any rate, she lived right there somewhere. But I certainly think this is a reasonable proposal. Again, I think it's the highest and best use of the property. I don't think it's suitable to really maintain a business there anymore. So I'm certainly in favor of it. I think the way to go is to probably write a new variance for this, reference the old one, and
As we talked about it, I'd agree.
and replace, and
Correct.
of course, I'd like to see language in there that extinguishes the rights that the prior variance had. As far as a commercial activity, there'll be no commercial activity on the property.
Yep.
But other than that, I'm fine. I guess we have some people here that may want to be heard. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak in favor of this petition? Please come to the microphone. Is anybody who's here wishes to speak in opposition to this? Please come to the microphone.
Hi, I'm Greg Belazikian. I own Lighthouse Keepers Pantry, 169, the neighboring building, Just Pick Gifts. I live in Yarmouthport as well. My concern is the commercial property that's abutting this is going to be, I don't even know how many square feet it is, 5,000 square feet. The building, I can't tell if it has any septic or not. If this transaction does transpire, what's the future of that piece of property? And there's no parking for that property. There's no infrastructure for it. So, I mean, it's all great for someone to build a home. I think it's not the problem, but in 5 or 6 years, what's going to happen with that small parcel and the commercial use of it. It becomes sort of dead.
Well, we did have this before us, and I think it was the one, I think John Kenny was the one that proposed it. I just wasn't there the night.
Yeah, John.
that
It was
went off.
John.
It was
Yeah.
John Kenny.
And I was on that petition originally, I sat on it. And the board, they came in and they wanted to turn that piece of property into a parking lot. And then they wanted to build out back a cheese shop with a residence above it. So, I mean, it was a nice idea, and they were gonna take this older building that sits out next to Inaho and really make it look nice. And it was gonna be a nice little general store, fit beautifully in there over there in Yarmouthport. But the major concern was there wasn't gonna be adequate parking to service all of this, and we were worried about traffic backup and everything. We were just concerned that they were gonna do too well over there.
Delivery trucks, too.
Yeah, and everything like that. So, they eventually withdrew it, but to answer your question, without suitable parking for that particular existing building, and I don't know if I don't think they share that. They don't share that with Inaho.
No, it's,
No, they don't, because we also asked them at the time, would Inaho allow them to use any of that property?
They showed
And
connection.
Inaho was not willing to do that. So that was a concern. What can you do with that property? Well, it's not before us, obviously, but I think whatever you're gonna do with it, it's gonna be very difficult.
Anyway, that's my main concern,
I
living in the
think
neighborhood.
It may eventually go the way of maybe a new house like this one here, given the size of the lot. You might
Can you
have
put
a
it,
new
I mean, can you
neighbor
put,
someday.
can you even get a septic system on that lot?
Well, the one that they're putting here is way out back. That's another question. Yeah. But the short answer is, I don't really know, but I take your point. Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else? Good evening.
Hey, my name is Jason Bell. I'm at 152 Route 6A, so across the street. I guess this is more of a trying to clarify. I understand there's going to wind up being a property there. What I guess I'm worried about, and it being in an old home, surrounded by close old homes, is fire. And the Comaquid fire, obviously drove that point home. So my question would be, is there a reason why, and I understand if you don't have to, you may decline to, but why the house and the septic couldn't have been flipped so that even if the lot and the house is the same, that the distances between structures would potentially be different? Because I just worry about, flames bouncing from house to house.
Yeah, I might be able to answer that. When Down Cape Engineering did the other review of the property.
give your name again.
Huh?
Give your name again.
Oh, Gary Barber. And the property, according to them, the property in the front where we want to build the home is not susceptible to a septic system. The only good soil on the property is in the back. And actually, this owner wanted to put the septic system in front of the house. And because the soil there is not proper, because she didn't want to cut any of the trees in the back.
Right.
So, and what we're doing, I believe, is we're putting in chambers instead of an actual leach field.
Okay. Yeah, I see it's a
smaller
long
area.
run out back there. I figured that's where your good soil was out there.
Right.
Okay.
That's the reason the septic is way back there.
Sir, that's the reason why it's gonna have to be where it is. Okay, thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard?
Hi, I'm Stephen David. I'm in 143, which is the abutter to the west. And I just wanted to sort of go on record reiterating that my concern for the American elm, it's an old growth, beautiful old growth American elm right on our property, but it's right up against the property line. And the root system does go sort of across the surface of the next property. From what I can see from the plans, that's where the driveway's going to come by and go behind the house. And I'm just concerned about affecting the stability of the tree by if they're digging into the root system. So I just wanted, because it's.
Well, they may not have to, you're gonna hire an arborist for that one, and?
Yeah, for both reasons, yes.
There's a problem with one of the front trees, too.
Right.
It got damaged, so we said we would hire an arborist to do that. And I also told the abutter that once, what we're gonna do is we're gonna ribbon all of the trees that we're gonna keep,
Okay,
and I would be more than happy to walk the property with him once we've done that.
okay. Well, where the driveway goes, I would imagine that you'd build up on top of that, right? So you'd be protecting the roots, right? 'Cause-
Yeah, it's also a pervious driveway, so it's not gonna stop the water
I
from
see,
getting
okay,
to
so
the
that'll
roots.
filtrate down through, so that'll provide water for the tree.
You certainly don't want to go too high on building it up either.
No,
That would
I
chop
mean,
off the roots.
I don't know,
No, we certainly want to look, as you said, where if the root system in places is above ground, just, we'll have to have the surveyor look at it as well, obviously, on the ground with the arborist, so everyone can take a look at it.
And we can give you the arborist's decision so that you'll have it for your record.
Okay. One more question?
Sure.
The tree at the front that is right next to our driveway, a big chunk of it came down in one of the more recent storms. They said they were going to get an arborist to look at it because it looks like it might be rotted or dying.
it could be dead, yeah, it might have to be removed.
Is that the tree that we were talking about?
Yeah.
The one on the right.
And I'm just wondering if there's a plan, if it does have to come down, is there a plan to put up another tree, something that's
It
going
wouldn't
to,
be anywhere near as big as that.
Right.
But I'm sure that the owner would be willing, because she likes trees, and I'm sure she would be willing to put something behind the stone wall return we're gonna do there. I'm sure we would put something, it won't be huge, but
okay, I was just curious. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
It does show a tree right there, right now, on the plan.
Yeah.
I think that's the tree, right by the driveway, and that's the tree
Right.
we're talking about, and, yeah,
Says
Now,
a
there's,
24-inch
yeah,
oak, it
there's-
says.
there's
yeah, it got damaged.
quite a lot of nice trees along 6A over there. Okay, anything else you'd like to add?
No, thank you, appreciate your time.
Okay, so, any other questions for the petitioner? No. No? Okay. All right, so, I believe that the request you need is a variance. I
New
think
variance.
The best way to go is for a new variance. Yep. I think you've established the criteria for a variance. I think it certainly would, I think the hardship is certainly owing to topography as well as shape here. And I think that, obviously, I don't think we're derogating from the purpose and intent of the bylaw for granting you a variance here. And as I said before, I think the highest and best use of this property is to become residential and not commercial, because it can't support a commercial aspect to it. And I think one of these days we'll see the other guy next door, which again is a beautiful little old building, I love it. And maybe we're gonna have to figure out what, if anything, we can do with him too, so, but he's not here today. But those are my thoughts. Does anyone else have anything to add? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the petition for variance relief?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Second? Any discussion, any further discussion?
I would support it. I think it makes sense for a variance. I think it fits the criteria. I think it's the best use of the lot, and just support it.
Okay. All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. I'll have a draft decision from you, Attorney Singer.
Yes, I will do it, that, and
Would you like to request to withdraw the additional relief that you've asked for? I think you got like
yes,
three.
so much of the petition that requested to amend 1305, and for a special permit, we request to withdraw those without prejudice.
So moved.
Okay, so you're withdrawing the request to amend the previous petition.
Correct.
You're withdrawing your request for special permit.
Correct.
Those are the only two things, right?
Yeah.
Third one.
Correct, because the third was
one.
granting the new variance, which will replace, and I'll put that right in the decision, will
First two were-
replace.
The first two were requests for variance relief. One was an amendment for variance. Right, okay. Okay.
So moved.
Have a second for that?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none.
Thank you very much.
I'll expect
Thank you.
a draft decision from you.
We'll get that to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
We have no minutes, right? I think so. That's it? Good. Make a motion to adjourn?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry that didn't pass with the requisite number of votes. We're still in session.
Stay here.
Yeah, we're adjourned.